to Adjust Inc. presents If Testimony Was a Person, the podcast where we discuss things with professionals of all kinds, from all walks of life, and we focus on issues of equity, inclusion, and at times psychology. Today we have a very special guest. This person is the CEO of Impact, which brings to us Black Long Island. I particularly appreciate Black Long Island because it has helped me without me even having to go into the site. Just looking at the comments, right? I get all types of things where Black professionals exist that you didn't know existed before. In addition to that, a person that works with community solutions in Suffolk County that affect our community directly. I am happy to introduce Mrs. Falischa Moss.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Welcome. I mean, we pride ourselves on talking to people who do important work. And I would say definitely the work that you do is very important. I bought a house a few years ago, and I wanted to use Black businesses wherever possible. So I knew some, but then there was some that I needed a referral on, and my go-to was Black Long Island. So I want to learn more about that, but I want to know a little bit about your history. Where were you born and raised, Ms. Moss?
Sure, and you can call me Felicia. Um, I was born right here on Long Island in Amityville, New York. Um, Raised in North Bab, and that's really me. Um,
Raised in North Babylon. What high school did you graduate from?
North Babylon High
North Babylon
School.
High
Yes,
School.
class of '96. So, and I don't mind saying that, but
That's
it was
right.
great.
Right, because if we don't age, then that means we're not here. So thank God that you are here.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
um, and I would say that you had a very colorful adult life. Because after high school, what did you do?
Yes, it was very colorful. I did attend Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina. Then life, took over, and I was able to travel. And I lived abroad. I lived in Korea and Hawaii, and then came back to the States due to military. It's all military travel.
You can't
So
gloss over that. Give me a little bit about where did you live first after beside the
first,
United States.
first place I lived was Bolin Air Force Base in Washington D.C.
Hmm.
Um, then and we were there during 9/11, so that was interesting in itself. Then we moved to Sumter, South Carolina, which is right outside Columbia. Then from Columbia, South Carolina, we went to Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Then from
What city is
Hickam,
that in Hawaii?
It's in Hickam is Oahu. Had to
Oahu.
think about that.
Okay.
Then South Korea to Osan Air Force Base.
South Korea. Give me your best story about South Korea. I mean, you had to have
Shopping.
some interesting shopping.
Listen, shopping was the best.
Hmm.
Um, you know, just and trying different foods, and I think that gave me some great exposure. It expanded my palate
Yeah.
for food. I am a foodie. I like to eat, but
Listen.
I also like to eat things with amazing flavor. And Korea has some great flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, New York City has that aspect of it where you can go to. I was recently in quote unquote Little Korea,
I love
West
it.
32nd Street, and but you had the real experience being
Yeah.
there.
And it was cool, like, but you also um, get to see how other people live, and which was really the eye opener for me. Um, you didn't see a lot of racism and prejudices what you saw of people coming together as one and just living and thriving. And it kind of sparked my interest about like what were we missing in the states. So
Mm.
coming back to the states, I really started diving right into the community to see how we can impact and uplift the community more.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning for me.
Yeah, I mean, we take it for granted because if you've lived in the United States, lived nowhere else, don't know the history of many places,
Mm-hmm.
we take it for granted that what we experience here is just what it is, or it's normal. But truly, this country has a very unique history.
Yes.
Very much connected to imperialism, colonialism, um, slavery, the beginning of industrialism, and the black community was all wrapped up in that in the way that we were obviously the exploited, for lack of a better term, right?
That's a good
So
way of saying it.
um, so being in let's say in Korea, you really saw that people didn't have that battle of you know, my folks need this.
The superiority of people. I didn't see it.
Right,
Like we
right.
were all one, and to me that was amazing. Um, and I had to bring a little bit of that back with me because you want every place that you travel or live to have an impact on your life.
Yeah,
Um, that where it's going to affect change. So, Korea was an amazing experience.
excellent.
Not I'm not gonna say any place else wasn't. Everywhere else I've lived, you make it an amazing experience.
Right, right.
So when we came back, we were in San Antonio, Texas. So
That must have been a little
that was
culture
different.
shock for
That
you
was a
after
huge
Korea.
culture shock for me.
What's what did you experience there?
Well, for one, you know, Texas is big to begin with,
Yeah,
but the black community is so divided based off of the area you live in. And you didn't go to one section or the north side or the south side, and
mm,
and people definitely treated you differently. If you didn't live in a gated community,
yeah,
then you're not of our caliber.
right.
um so while everything in Texas is big, it doesn't make it always right,
Yeah,
especially on how they treat people. So you know
yeah. Well, I think an argument could be made that the bigger a place or a country, even the less at times the connection um, between people
hmm
and that government can have for people.
I would agree.
Yeah. And so after Korea, you back in the United States, you're in Texas. And what was the next stop?
Back to New York. Back to New York. Life is life. Came back to North Babylon, New York, started working for the town of Babylon, um, right at the Wyandanch Community Resource Center. So I was getting my firsthand experience working in the community where I grew up. Yes, I grew up in North Babylon, but just 2 feet over, you're literally footsteps in Wyandanch. So for me, that was like home.
Yeah.
And, what a better place to grow and thrive than in your own home where you're being able to pour back into the community and bring resources that usually are not there. Why not?
It's wonderful. And it, truly is not to be taken for granted because we all have to make a living, right?
Absolutely.
But there's people who make a living calling people up saying, if you don't pay this, we're going to, report to this agency and that. Or there's people who say, we're going to come repossess your car. And, you know, really any living that you make is a living. And it's all under the laws of this country. So it's there's some dignity to it, but there's a particular gift, I think, when you're able to make a living, and I think, as Bill Clinton said at one time, you're able to do good and do you're able to do well and do good at the same time.
Hmm.
So you were able to do some good.
Absolutely.
So tell me about your first position and how it
So,
was.
Town of Babylon, I was the clerk typist, you know, a great entry point.
Yeah.
I will always say to individuals, if you're not sure what path you want to take, start with your local government
Mm-hmm.
just so you can get the understanding and some exposure. So, I was definitely very blessed and fortunate to have that opportunity. And that opportunity allowed me to meet wonderful people and make great connections. Um, I think the most thing I'm proud of with the town of Babylon is the new Wyandanch Plaza village,
Oh,
which is where all the new apartments are.
right.
Like, to me, that was a big thing because I was able to see that from knocking down of the old structures to hiring people from the community to get trained in construction and get them jobs physically to help rebuild the community.
For those that don't know, um, wine dance, and you can beef this up for me because I'm
Sure.
telling the bit that I know. Wine dance is really considered the community that many want to aspire to, maybe rise from, and expand and go elsewhere. Um, Wine dance schools are, from what I know, a really good school district, but maybe those standardized test scores and markers that people would say makes it a good school district, maybe a little bit behind, and so to be able to help the people of Wyandanch, of whom I'm sure you knew a bunch growing up,
Absolutely.
um, you know, it must have been a good thing or a good feeling to be able to come back and make a little difference there.
I feel it was an amazing feeling, and it
Mm-hmm.
still is an amazing feeling. Um, just being able to walk into the schools and kids are saying hi,
Yeah.
the staff is saying hi, just welcoming and embracing. Wyandanch School District is very warm,
Right.
very family based. Feeling. I don't like to be considered a number.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I want I want people to be close, be able to help. It truly takes a village to raise a child, and I feel like within the Wyandanch community, we are truly a village. Um, and it just took a little bit of tough love, for the community to start really reconnecting and getting back to it takes a village status.
Yeah.
So, and I believe that Wyandanch is it's definitely moving forward, and people are gonna want to come back.
That's excellent. Because the story of disenfranchised communities is a story that you can take anywhere USA and compare the community here to the community right next to it,
Absolutely.
and there's a vast difference. And what you said about there being a warmth to Wine Dance, I think that that's something that I always knew, that the community, although the community had challenges, the community is not disconnected from one
They're not
another.
disconnected, and
Yeah.
every community has a challenge. It's what you choose to do during that challenge. And I've seen Wyandanch go through lots of challenges, but they always come together. They stick together, you know. And to me, that's important. Every community should be a family,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. So you were working, you were doing that job that
hmm
was your entry point. Then where do you go?
um, from Town of Babylon, I went to the county. I went to Suffolk County.
Suffolk County.
Right. So with Suffolk County, I am the community based initiatives and intervention program coordinator. Um, and that basically means connecting government resources to community.
Right.
And bringing the government into the community, period. Not having the community come to the government. Let's meet the community where they are. So if people are looking for jobs, how are they looking for jobs if it's not being really promoted in the community? You have to take that to them.
So government funds are famously allocated, but don't get to the people that they are meant for. Would I be right to say that?
I think it all depends. We also have to make sure as people we are out there looking for those resources.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of times where people are looking for a handout versus doing the research to see what they can get. So I think it just depends on the person, the situation, um, and the understanding.
Right.
Because just because it's government doesn't mean that it's for everybody. Literally, it just there's funding available for individuals who meet the financial criteria.
Mm-hmm.
There's funding for businesses, but the question is, do you know where to look when you're looking for those? When you're looking for that information,
Right.
and if you don't know where to look, um, that's twofold. That's either you're not just looking, or we as in government is not sharing the information. But thankfully, I am happy to say that the team of people that I work with, amazing group of people, are out there pouring into the community and sharing the information.
I mean, whenever I hear that there is a person who is a true a person of conscience who is connected to the community and they are working with or for a government program, I'm always happy about that because what I have always gathered was that kind of what you said that the monies are there. We don't necessarily know the monies are there or how to access the resources, and so it's like you hear these stories of money was there or money is here until December 19th. It's now December 8th. You have 11 days to apply, and then after that, there is no more. And so I imagine that you and your staff were talking to people and businesses and creating financing for things that were real issues.
Of course, we talk about, especially within the Department of Labor, it's such a changing industry when it comes to employment and workforce development. But not everybody wants the college path. So if you don't do the college path, what else is there? Well,
Mm-hmm.
there's unions, there's vocational trades. But when you start looking into those programs, you're like, oh, I don't have $40,000. That's like going to college. However, Department of Labor
Mm-hmm.
pays for fund, like they have
Mm-hmm.
funding available to pay for that training.
Right. And
You know,
and so
so
you would make those
you
connections
make
for
those
people.
connections and you get them registered. You help them through that process, and we have. It's amazing if you really take advantage of what is available.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna call you later to find out what you know. Present company included is a small business. Maybe here in Nassau, there's things that I can
There's a lot of
access.
things in
Yeah.
Nassau, and you know, especially for businesses. I will, if you're in Nassau, I would definitely say, check in with Lionel Chitty.
Oh yeah.
He's the head of the Office of Minority Affairs. Like, that's definitely a plug when you're talking about entrepreneurship and business opportunities
Absolutely.
and government procurements. You want to check in there because
Shout out to Lionel Chitty.
Lionel help. That's right. Um, you know, and they have a wealth of information and
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, so
Hmm. So then from there, this is the point where you kind of branched out and started doing
pivoting into some other
something
things.
with your husband,
Yes.
who Billy Moss, who I always hear that name. Shout out to Billy Moss, although I haven't really sat down with you and met you, sir. So what? How does that all unfold?
Sure. So I love to go out and venture and go shopping, and entertainment is
Mm-hmm.
always a big thing for me. My husband is very local. Like, let me just go maybe a couple of blocks over.
Mm-hmm.
Let me not go too far. Granted, he works in Nassau County.
Okay.
Um, but it was one Saturday morning, Pillow Talk. Listen, Pillow Talk creates amazing, amazing ideas and business plans.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, if you and your partner are communicating,
Yeah.
you know, great things can definitely flourish. And from Pillow Talk, we came up with Black Long Island. And he was like, his exact words, you have friends, I have friends, let's connect our friends.
Mm.
And that, I want to say within the first day, there was 2,000 people. And they were like, oh,
What
this
year
is
was
different.
this?
Um, this was 2016.
That's amazing. So, Pillow Talk creates amazing ideas that come to fruition.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Let's connect our friends. So, give me more, beef that story up a little bit for
Beef the
me.
story up. Okay, so connecting friends. So my husband's an educator. Like, he's in the education world, and he's also into politics.
Like he was a principal or like
He's a school administrator.
school
So he is
administrator.
the
Yeah.
chairman of the math and science department and director of world languages.
Oh, okay.
You know.
That's
So
a
that
that's
that's
a
a
nice
big
title.
that's a nice
Yeah.
little title, right? But he also went to Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
So black man, educated at Harvard, grew up in Suffolk County. You meet different people along that journey. So within his network, he had some authors, he had some doctors,
Yeah.
some lawyers and teachers that are on the same path of, creating a unified community. Um, I, on the other end, I'm like, oh, I have some friends. I got some friends who do Wall Street. I have some friends who are business owners. I have friends who do this. But for me, I never thought about what my friends actually do because I really looked at them as just being my friends. But when I really started getting down to it, I was like, oh,
Wait, I have a powerful
okay, wait a minute,
network.
hold on a
Yeah.
second. These some good plugs right here.
Right.
And then just from that, we were able to start, connecting people. You may need a doctor, you may need a lawyer, you may need a contractor.
Yeah.
And I mean, those are things that we see even to this day. You know, everybody's always looking for someone
Yeah.
that is able to do something. And making sure that even when people like to say side hustles, I'm like, oh, it's not a side hustle. It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
You have an extra business. So instead of treating it like a hustle, go get your paperwork in order.
Yeah.
You know, become licensed, because when you're not licensed to do your business, you miss out on amazing
Right.
opportunities
Right.
based off of some paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
But making sure that people are getting that information, catering, restaurants, celebrating black owned businesses. Because for a long time, I'm not going to say there weren't any black owned businesses. We just didn't know where they were located.
Yeah.
And it's word of mouth. Like, oh, well, there's, I know a guy, but being able to put it on a platform, where people have access to it and share information, I think that has been a huge step in the black
Yeah.
community, where we're able to connect businesses and get information that usually we wouldn't have.
Yeah. Really, what you did was you took the medium of social media and connected all of these folks with each other. And then, so how did it all unfold? People just wanted to join the group because they started to
Literally.
see, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also content what you put out there. We started with a question of, what type of work do you do?
Right, right.
And people are just plugging it in.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a hairstylist? Are you a barbershop owner? Are you in construction?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a teacher? Are you a lawyer? Like, just asking so that we can just find out where people are. What type of doctor are you?
Yeah.
listen, I think for the longest time, people were like, oh, I need a dermatologist. Is there a black dermatologist? But they were giving content and context within
Mm-hmm.
those questions. They're like, listen, I need someone who knows how to handle my skin type
Correct.
and things that when you don't think about that and now it's being brought to your attention, you're like, okay, hold on. Okay, so then you're getting all that information. And same thing with restaurants. You know, one of the first things that we were doing as Black Long Island was visiting restaurants. Let's do a meet and greet
Yeah.
at a local restaurant and making sure that we are supporting that business. And I think that also started creating a little bit more of a buzz within Black Long Island because businesses were actually letting us know, like, hey, we're here. This is where we're located.
Right. Right. I
So,
mean, and just in terms of the customer, you don't need something until you need it. Like,
mm-hmm.
if you don't have a problem that requires a lawyer, you're not thinking about, let me learn where the black lawyers or any lawyers are for
Correct.
that matter.
Correct.
But when you need something, you're like, man, it would be great if I had a resource that could
Mm-hmm.
point me in the right direction.
Right.
So, truly, I think it is life changing for the community that you all took the initiative to start Black Long Island, and I think you told me that you kind of are cool with some of the others who are doing
Absolutely.
the same thing, like the
Absolutely.
Black Resource,
Let's
Black.
see. Black Legacy Partners,
Mm-hmm.
the Black Resource Network,
Yeah.
based out of Queens. That's
Mm-hmm.
Aaliyah, Kessel Bess, and Spencer. That's Black Legacy Partners. Listen, we are about the same thing. Our mission
Absolutely.
is the same. Let's unify the community. Let's support Black owned businesses. Let's, create that village, that unfortunately, as time went on, we started going about our own business and staying to ourselves where we didn't have that village support anymore. Now we're like, listen, it's time. We're overdue,
Right.
so absolutely. I go to, the sovereign market out in that Aaliyah Abrams has, and that's at the I want to say that's Rosedale or Laurelton train station.
Oh, tell me about the sovereign market.
The sovereign market is they have it. It's a nighttime market, and different black-owned businesses and vendors are there.
Oh,
Yeah, listen,
Merrick, Merrick, and not
um,
too far from Brookville Boulevard.
it's not far. And I
Yeah.
listen. We parked and went. I was able to get some cousins donuts. Like
Yeah.
cousin, yo, listen, Todd Jones makes some amazing donuts. And
Okay.
and when you talk about like a black man that makes donuts,
People would never know.
you would never know
Yeah.
that. But he
Yeah.
has he has a store physically getting ready to open back at the Jamaica Coliseum. So I don't mind traveling from Suffolk County into Queens to go get some tasty donuts,
Right.
or going all the way out east, um, out to, I could say, the Bridgehampton Child Care and Rec Center because they do African American movie festival. Like I'm for
Mm-hmm.
that life, but I'm also about making sure that we're supporting each other. You know, I want to come and support your business, and I hope and pray that you want to support my business
Right.
because that's the only way we're going to be able to thrive and grow as a community is if we're supporting one another.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
you
And
know,
there's all this history in our country
absolutely.
where we had a lot more businesses before, let's say, 1960, and through the 60s with all of the advances that were had, black business actually declined, especially in certain metropolises
Mm-hmm.
in the United States. So it's so necessary, I think, to be intentional about
Absolutely.
supporting black business.
It's it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes when people think about government contracts and they'll say, "Oh, you need, a $5 million policy or $5 billion," and but your company by itself is maybe only 1.2.
Mm-hmm.
but knowing that there's another company where y'all can come
Mm.
together to get that procurement
Right.
contract because your total and their total matches.
Right.
Look at the opportunity and the sustainability that just happened. Like
By
you
working
connected,
together.
and now
Yeah.
just by working together, other cultures work together.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with our culture working together. If you eat, I eat. Like, let's get it together. I don't want to just feed you and only you.
Right.
So, we got to be supportive. Listen, and I mean, recently I can tell you, I just learned. So there's another group called Black Westchester.
Oh.
Totally dope. And the history with Black Westchester is the founder of Black Westchester is from Central Islip. But as you know, we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop. He's also part of the group JVC Force
Oh, wow. Yeah.
that did Strong Island. And I'm like, oh, this is dope. Oh, how amazing. And you do Black Westchester, but you still make sure that you represent Long Island,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And I would say it's a small world because his mentality is still we got to unify the community no matter where we live,
Right.
but we're rich in culture. We just need to start sharing it more.
Yeah. I agree. And, you know, anytime I can support a local business, I try to do that. I'm intentional about that because businesses build communities, and it is good and dandy to have a Walmart or a
Mm-hmm.
Starbucks, but do you know how many small companies exist that can um, make a good latte and have
Absolutely.
a cafe that is not the same as hundreds of cafes, that exist throughout the country. It's nice for communities to have something that represents the
Absolutely.
uniqueness of the community. Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, we're all about that. Let's support and buy black.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, like, even as a family, um, our challenge one Christmas was everything purchased must come from a black owned business.
Mm. Yeah.
So that was the challenge was for people to learn what is a black owned business, where are they? My husband learned about tote and carry, and bought like loads and loads and loads of luggage and bags because he was like, oh, that's a black owned company.
Yeah.
Things that people don't know about or crux. I love sharing names of black owned businesses that are out there doing the thing. Crux is home appliances, air
I didn't
fryers,
know
and
about Crunk.
they're from the Bronx. So this
Wow.
is what's interesting. Like that's ghetto gastro is what it's called, and the company is Crux. It's sold in Target.
Mm.
Um, Air fryers, coffee makers, waffle irons. Amazing, amazing, amazing products.
Wow.
If it wasn't a good product, I probably wouldn't talk about it. But just having our kitchen redesigned by a black contractor was amazing.
I can take credit for doing some of that because that kind of work I try to always give to
Yeah,
people who are local in the community that do good work. And but I really appreciate your insight. This is we need to learn more about this, and on a personal level, you and I need to talk. You
listen, you
know,
you feel free to call me anytime. I mean, I will say I know that you're on is it tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday, so if you're not busy, I say come on down to Tanner Park in Copeg
oh,
because we do the free community concert there, and last year that was like 14,000 people,
wow.
and we're like, yo, like that's dope. When you
Someone just mentioned this to me. Yeah.
listen, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great way to network and fellowship with different people, but it's also bridging that gap between so many different cultures because music brings everyone together.
Right. Right.
But we do a lot of different things. I would definitely say, Black Long Island has definitely opened my eyes to so many different things. And it has definitely taught me so much history about our own people here on Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I will definitely encourage anyone and everyone to just get to know your local Black owned businesses,
Absolutely.
you know?
Um, we're about to wind down. Are there things more recent that you'd like to talk about? Things that you have done, or that you think are worth mentioning? No pressure.
No pressure. September 16th, we have our sixth annual Ujamaa Festival where we bring together roughly over 125 Black owned businesses to the Wyandanch Plaza because it's footsteps right off the
Okay.
Wyandanch train line. Support the businesses, food
Absolutely.
trucks, and um, honestly, I say just make it a point, be intentional, and support a Black owned
I
business.
support that. And
Period.
I probably will gain 5 pounds if I come down to the Ujamaa Food Festival because I already know there's probably all types of cakes and
Listen, they get it in.
rice, sandwiches. So this was very insightful talking with you, and maybe we'll do this again in the future. Um, like, subscribe, share. The Help to Adjust podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Hope to be on iHeart soon. Um, Falischa, if people would like to contact you or Black Long Island, can you give your
Sure.
handles and
Sure. You can reach us via email at info@blacklongisland.net, um, Facebook, Black Long Island, or you can just listen. I'm cool with being friends. You can find me on Facebook,
mm-hmm.
Twitter, and my name is Falischa Moss, FALISCHAMOSS.
All right. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace and love. We will connect. Help to Adjust podcast. Um, if testimony was a person.